Throw something in the chat. I love the awkward first 5 minutes of a live video where you're just waiting for people. Oh, I actually don't have my notebook. To anyone who's slowly arriving in now, don't forget to throw your name or something in the chat. Just say hi, just so everyone knows who's here. Happy first day of July, guys. It's a new month. Wow. I went to grab my notebook and just grabbed another book. It's very on brand. I took lots of notes on this book. I had a lot of feelings that I don't know how to process. So I'm excited to see what you guys all thought. I can't see the chat. I'm going to give people 3 to 5 more minutes to show up. It is a Monday. Maybe we should not have these on Mondays anymore. I also can't stop looking at the bags under my eyes. I need to prioritize sleep this weekend, later in the week, not tonight for sure. It says that people are popping in, but can you guys throw something in the chat? Because otherwise I can't see who I'm talking to. Also, let me know if you guys can hear me. Hello to everyone who's popping on now. Let me just check the Facebook group to make sure everyone is good there. Cool. Hi. It looks like people are a little bit late popping on, so I'm just going to give it another minute or so before we dive in. But I want to do exactly what we did for book 1. So everyone who's on right now, can you just drop in what you gave this book as a rating in the chat, and then I'll tell you guys what I rated it. I'm very interested to see where these ratings are going to be. I'm checking Goodreads right now because I also want to see what the Goodreads rating is. I did mark this book as finished on Goodreads. I did not give it a rating. Did I make it sound like I'm giving it a very low rating? All right, it has a 3.6 rating on Goodreads, just FYI. Which is high. 3.6 is high for Goodreads. It takes a lot. A lot of people have to hate your book for you to get like a 2-star rating on Goodreads. 3 stars. Okay. What does your 3-star mean? Like, is your 3-star just like it was okay? Or is your 3-star like solid but not great? I think for me, a 3-star rating is good book, probably wouldn't reread it necessarily. Something just wasn't doing it for me, but it wasn't a bad book. Like, if I give a book a 2, it was a bad book. But a 3 is like, it's not a bad book. I could see why people would like it, but it's just like, it was meh for me. So you kind of have to, like, everyone has their different ratings. You kind of have to define your rating. Solid, but not great. Took too long. Okay, I think that's completely fair. A 3 as well. Yeah. Hey, Julie. All right, so just for the sake of time, we can just start chatting with us and then other people can join us as they trickle in. But overall, I've been back and forth. I literally finished the book last night. I pretty much read it over like 3 to 4 days. And I think I'm giving it a 3. I think. I'm super unsure about my rating. I feel very weird about this book. I didn't dislike it. And I do think that it's a good book. I kept tabs like as I was reading. I don't know if you guys can even see, but there are like little tabs in the book. And I tabbed a lot. Like I had a lot of like thoughts. I was definitely engaged with the book, but overall at the end, like I could completely see myself at this time next week barely remembering small details about this book. I thought that it felt like there were so many characters and we didn't get enough of any of them. Like we got little flashes of each of them, but they were really heavy flashes that should have been unpacked and they just weren't unpacked. I felt like they treated everyone like a side character. Like there was no main character. And I guess it was supposed to be the sisters because we get only their perspectives. It's told from, the trio, but I feel like I still don't really know them. Like I don't get them. So that's my like overall feels. Anyone else have like overall thoughts and feelings on the book? When I got to the middle, I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh, did I pick a book that everyone is reading and hating? Yeah, you forget a lot of the plot. And honestly, it's kind of like it was action packed, but she slowed the action down considerably. And I really love the writing style. I thought her writing was beautiful. Like I kept reading because I enjoyed reading the book, and I would definitely read more from this author. And I thought that the premise for the book was very interesting, but yeah, I just wasn't engaged the way I usually am. Took me forever to identify characters. Yes, I literally had to write out which twin and sister were which because I was like, I don't know. I'm like, is Kim the bad one or is she like the quiet mousy one? Like, and that's the other thing. That's all you even get of the. We're gonna jump into like characters. We'll go through the entire cast, but yeah, I just did not connect to anyone. And then it's like everyone felt so insignificant that when they did something significant, I was just like, oh wow, look at her stealing the show. It was so weird. For anyone who just joined, just drop your rating for the book in the chat, like your overall rating. So far, it looks like this is a collective 3-star read. So I guess we can start oldest to youngest down the siblings, even though we honestly don't. All we know is Lillian is the youngest, Althea is the oldest, and somewhere in the middle, Joe and Viola happened. I'm assuming that Joe is right after Althea. Yeah, I agree that Lillian and Viola were also confusing. So let's start with Althea, who arguably is the most like the candidate for like main character. She is the one who kind of the story is centered around. Yeah. Oh, you think Viola then Joe? Honestly, I have no idea. But yeah, so Althea, she's the criminal mastermind, we find out, which also this whole crime thing was so weird. They could have honestly just said that they went to jail. I don't think we needed to even know their crime because we basically didn't get any of it. Like she could have just said they were in prison. There's not enough of the community for us to care about like them like the backlash that the girls are getting or anyone else is getting. There's not enough of like their actual jail time experience except to introduce key side characters. So like I really didn't need to know that they did like food stamp fraud and then I guess money laundering. Is that what I guess? But it really doesn't matter. So Althea, I honestly don't even have a ton of notes on her. I found whenever there were chapters from her perspective, I read them super fast. Like I just wanted to get back to a Lillian or a Viola chapter. I did not connect to her. I thought she was kind of treated unfairly as a character because she gets all this heavy put on her, but she's obviously carrying so much grief and guilt. And she never gets to like have her moment of like rectification that I think she deserved. Anyone else have thoughts on Althea? I don't honestly, I feel bad. I don't have much to say about her. Their dad took the oh, that's true. Yeah, he did take the youngest too. So it would be Althea, Viola, because Viola went to college, and then Joe Lillian. Also, the Joe subplot was completely unnecessary and underdeveloped. Like, not to, not to like downplay abuse in any way, but it was kind of just like out of nowhere, you put me in a closet and didn't let me eat. And I kept waiting for the big reveal there. That's the saddest part about this book. It's like I thought it was a good book, but none of the characters, we didn't get enough of any of the characters to really discuss them in depth. We still don't know who they are. We know like key elements of their like tragic story, but we don't really know them, which is unfortunate because I like connecting to a character in a book. Anybody else have Althea thoughts before we move down the line? I'm trying to like scan my notes to see if I even wrote down any like quotables. Exactly. It just came out of nowhere. Like, hey, did you ever know that while you weren't in the house that we lived in, Joe put me in a closet that one time? Like, I kept waiting, and I feel that's kind of like sick and twisted, right? Like, I kept waiting to be like, oh, he raped her, he molested her, he physically assaulted her, like something, and it was kind of just like this whole book was full of us not getting the full story. We didn't get anyone's full story. I don't like the way that I know I'm going like all over the place, but you kind of can't help it. I feel with these characters, but I don't like the way that I forget which one it was, Baby V. First of all, I hate that they called her Baby V for the entire book. Like, I wish she just had a name. They could have honestly just called her Viola, and I would have rather been confused than call her Baby V. I don't like the way that they introduced her eating disorder. I thought that was everything just felt unnecessary, like unnecessary tragedy. I thought it would lead to something bigger, like a custody battle. Yeah, or like I don't know. I just thought it was going to be something bigger too, and it didn't seem not to say that like what she described wasn't terrible, but it just didn't seem to warrant like when we meet Lillian, she's this like shell of a girl. She like has I couldn't tell if they were trying to allude to her having OCD because she would do the rounds around the house and like say safe with all the doors or something, but they never talk about that. But clearly she has this like trauma of not feeling safe in this house, yet she came back to this house, redid it, and lives in it. I didn't like nothing. It was just everything felt just thrown in. Even Lillian's side story of like how she cheated on her ex-husband. I felt like, what was the point of that? Like, because is it that's did she feel was it supposed to be like that was her karma for like her shame? I didn't get how what that was supposed to make us feel about her. And it just didn't go anywhere. It's all this stuff just got introduced and went nowhere. Yeah, the Joe stuff kept coming up and nothing happened with it. Exactly. Like, yeah, even when they went to go confront Althea, Lillian and Viola go to the prison and they're like telling her, Joe wants to take the girls. You need to know what he did to Lillian. They still don't say what he did. She said like, oh, he didn't let me eat. Like, I don't know what she was supposed to do with that. I mean, I guess he'd warning that this person who was abusive in his past is potentially going to take your kids, but Althea also didn't care about them kids. So, which I felt really bad for. I did write down the quote that came up a lot, as a mother, you're your father's daughter, how it was basically a self-fulfilling prophecy for her. Like she like completely internalized that. Leaking details super slow. It wasn't even just that the details were leaked slowly, it's that they were leaked and then nothing happened. Like even when they kept saying that Joe got sent away after everything came out that he was doing to Lillian. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, did he get institutionalized? Was he the army? Which to me is like not being sent away. Being sent away is like, I also couldn't tell what time. Oh no, the letters were all 2013, but for some reason it felt like this was supposed to be set further back in the past. I don't know if anyone else got that vibe. Do you think it was just too many women and that's why we all kept getting the characters confused? Or were they just not given personalities? Because Lillian and Viola were the same person to me. One just had an eating disorder and one potentially has OCD. I think this book suffers from something that a lot of shorter books suffer from, because this book is under 300 pages. It's like 290, I think. Um, with shorter books, I find that they either kill it or everything is underdeveloped. Like, and I think with this book, it would have been perfect if it was just two sisters, no kids, no brother, just two sisters. One is in jail, one is not. Like, I don't know. But I think the cast was too big for that small amount of pages. Like, if this was a 400-page book, we probably could have got somewhere. But in 290 pages, it just wasn't enough. Yeah, no personalities. Oh, we didn't even talk about Proctor because I forgot about him, because we don't meet him. Isn't that crazy? Like, I did write down, I wish that we got more perspectives and not just the three sisters, because since they have no personalities, they all kind of just blended. I didn't like any of the Althea chapters, so I kind of like sped read them. And then it's like Proctor's letters, you get that he's this great romantic musician. I didn't like in the end how they just threw in that he had depression, but whatever. We can talk about the mental health representation in this book in a bit, but yeah, he just seemed like he was this awesome dad and cool guy and could really add another layer. Like, even through just his letters, you do get a more of Proctor's personality than anyone else in the book. And all we get are his notes to Althea. And I'm like, even if it could have been just like 3 chapters, like he calls each, like Lillian and Viola, anything. Like, even when, was it Kim? Is Kim the bad one? When she goes missing, that was a great chance to like throw in more Proctor, because we know that Althea doesn't have that maternal instinct, but he has that paternal instinct heavy. Like, he feels it. He feels for the fact that Althea is so hard on Kim. He gets that like baby V is the easier one, and I guess he figured out how to love them both, but we don't get any of that. And I was kind of bummed out about that. I wish we would have got more Proctor, because he seems like, compared to all the men in the last book that we read, the men in this book, well, Proctor was great. Joe, we don't really know who he is. So all we know is that he maybe is abusive and oddly evangelical, but like in a creepy culty way. Too many characters. Yeah, it just was too much for such a short book. I just like 4 siblings, 2 daughters, the husband, and then Mercedes at the end, who I really like I was just so annoyed by all of the Althea chapters. Like, she was just annoying. I didn't like her. I did like at least, the Lillian and the Viola chapters. I can't say I like them because I don't feel like we really got to know them. Let me check the chat. What did you guys think of the twins? Like what we got of them and how their story kind of unfolded. I think since there were already like 500,000 characters, they should have just made them triplets and let each of them be the second chance version of each sister. Because that's essentially what they did with the twins. Like the fact that they gave one the eating disorder and the other one was clearly like suffering the same way Althea was from being the oldest, even though she was only 2 minutes older. And how she felt like how Althea felt she lost her mother too soon. Kim was losing her mom too soon, even though her mom's loss was more of like an emotional loss, not a physical loss. Like I saw what she was trying to do, but I was just more so annoyed by it instead of like, oh, that's a cool theme. I think this is lagging. Yeah, exactly. Repetition, but without growth. Which is it's so weird. Like I feel like I'm not saying a ton of positive things about this book, but I really did like reading it, which is the weird part. I wish the first half was sped up and more focus on when she ran away. I don't even know what that would have read like because like the second part, even though it had all that action in it, if it would have happened sooner, we would have lost what little like character setup we did get, you know? That's the thing. There just wasn't enough character development. That's just all around. I wish that the characters were more developed. Because this is such a character driven book. Oh yeah, by the time the action, you know how many times I had to flip back to be like, wait, did the bad one run away or the good one ran away? Like 8 times. And I kind of I don't know how I feel about the twins either. Like I kind of mentioned before, but like how I didn't like the attempt to parallel them with the sisters, but I did think it I don't even know where to go with this. So the fact that Kim is the one that called the cops on her parents is super interesting. Like that was something that I would have loved to get unpacked a little bit more. But I kind of wonder if it did in ways that just weren't done well, you know? So she's the one that calls the cops because she's just fed up with her mom and her lack of relationship with her, or the fact that their relationship is just super, super strained and tense. So she runs away. And there's that whole scene at the river when she jumps in because she had already texted the other twin, which the good one, and told her like this is the end for me. And the fact that she decided to come back to like the river, I thought that was like kind of because I really did like the writing and I did like how that like river analogy kept coming up over and over again as a symbol. I thought like that was one of the first things I tabbed in the book when her mom first tells her like women are water, we can cut through things, and I thought that was really beautiful. So that was interesting to me, but yeah, I like everything was just like loosely thrown in. I know I keep coming back to this, but nothing was connected, nothing developed. We didn't grow anywhere. We didn't like get from point A to point B. We were just kind of like meh. I wish I even had like more to say than just it was repetitive. Yeah, exactly. Like it was more of just a quote that was repeated. It wasn't yeah, we did grow with the river reference. Like yeah. And I guess if you unpack it like and you're super critical with it, it's like water is a symbol that's supposed to be super powerful. There's a river for each of her oldest daughters, and those are the two that are kind of like they drive a lot. Like Lillian, if you think about it, even though she was the one that had custody of the girls, the big things are driven by Viola and Althea, because Althea is the one that did all the crime, and then Viola is the one whose life is literally spiraling, and like in many ways the twins kind of save her. So those two rivers, like, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of emphasis on it. It was just like a thing they kept repeating, which was a lot. Like the same with just like abuse overall. I wrote down a lot. That's like a common theme. Yeah, when Kim goes back to the river. Even now, as we're talking, I keep forgetting which twin is which, and I have to keep looking at my notes. I'm looking at all the notes I wrote for each character. Althea, in jail, oldest, forced matriarch. Viola, lesbian, eating disorder. Middle child. Lillian, youngest, so much therapy to not be a therapist, LOL, because I kept getting her and Viola confused. And then Joe, only boy, very Christian, weird. And I didn't write anything for Proctor because he was like barely a character. For all of you who were also like confused, how did you keep them straight? Did you just keep flipping back? How old were they? I was having trouble grasping the age to have all this angst, but not understand that calling the police on your mother. That is a great point. Like, I never even thought about how old they were. Wow. But that is such a good point. I have no idea how old they were. I kind of got the vibe that they were in middle school. I think I thought they were in middle school because no one was driving. And I feel like if Kim would have been of driving age, when it came time to go see her dad in jail, she wouldn't have asked Junior to take her. She would have just taken someone's car. And when she ran away, she would have just taken someone's car. But but we didn't get like high school because Junior was a bit older. I mean, he could have been in like 10th grade and she could have been in 8th. Did they say that Junior was 18? Another side character who was just like pointless. I guess maybe like 9th grade. But I feel like by the time you're in like 9th or 10th grade, you still have that like dumb teenage impulse where you're like, oh, I have a feeling, I need to act on it. But I feel like you would know, like, oh, but if I call the cops on my mom and dad will go to prison. If not my mom, my dad might also go to prison, and they both love their dad. So I don't know. I guess that's why I don't think they were in high school, but who knows? How pointless was the grandma? Oh, what was the point of Nine Eye? I was just like, I thought by the end of the book she was going to be dead, and I was like kind of annoyed that we had to get like 5 more pages of her towards the end. You know what I mean? I'm glad I wasn't. I have no notes on her. Also, David, pointless character. Was it Elaine? Is that supposed to be Lillian's friend? Pointless character. It literally started off with her complaining about McDonald's, about a sausage egg biscuit. Like, I was like, what is going on? And the fact that it wasn't even like her mother-in-law, it was her ex-boyfriend, her ex-husband's grandmother. I'm like, did you even know this woman? Like, there's no one else. You guys were divorced. You cheated on this man twice, which also I feel like didn't fit. I was waiting to hear that Eva and Viola were separated because Viola cheated. Because Lily never gave me cheater vibes. I think I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote, it's crazy that Lily cheated when Viola and Althea give me more of the cheater vibe. Eva, we got none of Eva. She has like 3 lines. This is like a bad play when it comes to character development. Her dead ex-husband's grandma. Yeah, that's so like just make her the mother-in-law. Like that made no sense. It made no sense. And it wasn't even, it would have made more sense if she like came in and tried to mother everyone, like brought these like two broken girls and these broken sisters back together, but she literally didn't even talk to them. And the hint to her origin story. Yeah, this whole Miami thing. And then when she explained it, like, oh, there was a picture on the back of the picture of her at the beach. I was like, was she like holding the child that was taken from her? Like, I was waiting for some kind of like Joy Luck Club type twist, and that just fell flat too. I was now the more I talk about it, the lower I want to rate this book. Oh, you think she's a cheater? Like, you think the picture was like of her adulterous days? Like she had like a fling in Miami? I have no idea if she had a man in Miami. I don't remember. I think it said the picture was of her like on the beach. And then she like had a stroke but was still doing Tai Chi. I was like, girl, lay down. On the back of the picture was written Miami 1957 love. She was at a bus station standing next to a guy who wasn't either of the two guys I knew to be her late husbands. Maybe. Maybe she had a man. But even that makes me even more irritated. Like I would read from this same author a spinoff about any of these characters where they could be like fully unpacked except Althea. I don't care about Althea. Like a whole story about Lillian, who was apparently an interior, like she was an interior designer, but the whole time they made it seem more like the design part of her was like an like alluding back to that OCD thing to me. It wasn't like, oh, she was an interior designer, obviously. And then at the end, it was like, oh, yeah, the two men that I slept with were my clients. I was like, clients of what? It was just so random. I did write a note that says, shout out to Mercedes. After she gave us all those oranges and new black vibe, she came through. Anyone else have any character thoughts or lack of thoughts? One moment that I did call out and want to talk about is when Proctor sends Althea the letter after they realize that Kim is missing. And he basically says that if anything happens to her, it's all Althea's fault. I was kind of annoyed by that because even though I thought Proctor came off as like a super good guy, at the end of the day, you're also a criminal. Like you both did crimes. And for that reason, like if you felt so strongly about being capable of being there for your daughter, why'd you do crimes? Like even towards the end when they have that like meet up together on Thanksgiving and they're finally able to like talk face to face, I felt like he basically tells her like I knew that I met you and you were dealing with so much grief and I know that today you're still dealing with so much grief. And it's like, well, are you telling her that to make her feel better about why you love her? Or are you telling you that to make you feel better about why you went along with all these crimes and can't be there for your daughters now? Questions that need answers. It's like there's so much to unpack with the characters and yet so little to unpack with each character. The wildest part to me is that Viola is a therapist and like everyone just needs like therapy. Like everyone is so deeply scarred. Oh, we also haven't talked about their father at all, who's like another non-character who's very much a character. Like the father thing confused me because at first I thought they were trying to say he was absent, like as in he was an alcoholic or he was just like out womanizing, or he just didn't want to be with his family, but he was out preaching, spreading the good news of the gospel. That was just very weird to me. Oh, that is a good point about Proctor. Yeah. I also wrote though under that note about Proctor, who do you blame for trauma? Because in the same way that he was a criminal and he should own that, he had been through a lot as well. Like going to prison is very traumatic, obviously. I was confused when I said he was an alcoholic. Yeah, I was too. I was like, because is that how many churches are in your area that he's taking these long distance trips to go preach? Like I was, and he wasn't like, they never said he was a reverend, he was a pastor. Like I'm picturing him like there's this guy who stands on the street that I walk to work every day from literally like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. He's out there and he just like screams scriptures out loud. And that's exactly what I'm picturing their dad as. Like I'm picturing him as that man. Because it didn't seem like he was going to um like churches. It seems like he was just like bopping around with the Bible. Physician, heal thyself. Wait, who yelled that? Viola? I guess that makes sense. She is the physician. Lillian was trying to disrupt the pattern. That's interesting. Well, if Althea is their father, is Lillian their mother? Or is that Viola? But or are Lillian and Viola just the same person? More so Lillian. I'm trying to think like what did Lillian do besides take them in? Lillian is the mother because they all have good memories of their mother. Well, actually, I feel like Lillian doesn't have hardly any memories of her mother because they make it seem like she was a baby when their mom died. No, yeah, I agree with you guys. I definitely see the parallel between Althea and the father. But like I said, I also feel like that was just a self fulfilling prophecy. Like she heard that as a mother, you are your father's daughter, and she just lived that to her fullest. Even when like Kim mentions that Althea would like go out on the dock and just sit there, and that's where she would spend her time if she wasn't in the restaurant. I was like just to stare at the the river because your mom talked about a river once. Like that also felt very forced. I feel like there's a lag in the video. Hmm. I was lucky pissed when Viola burned the chunk of wood from the bar. Yeah, she spent the whole book talking about how she was gonna whittle it into something, but never knew what she was gonna make it. And yeah, another pointless thing. Like, I guess was the whole point of her breaking into the restaurant to get that piece of wood just to introduce David. And then I thought it was going to be like David was her childhood best friend, but they had also like, I thought that was going to be who she was cheating on Eva with, the reason why they separated. I feel like they kind yeah, that was weird. It was just all there. It was just weird. The characters are such a snapshot. And this was one of my most anticipated books of the year, you guys. Can we talk about the title? The care and feeding of ravenously hungry girls. Like, how did you guys see the title pop up? That was another, yeah, literally, like he's literally in prison. Like you can't just pop up with like a piece of wood that could easily become a weapon for a prisoner. But then again, they did have the connect, like the prison plug, who was getting them like in-person meetings, and that was my other thing. I personally have seen quite a few seasons of Locked Up and Locked Up Raw, so I know a thing or two about prison. And there's no way that Althea went to jail in this high-profile case, and it was supposed to be that the whole community was so hurt, and she wasn't even in prison yet. She was in jail still. So this would have been people who were probably from that same area. And everyone is so mad that they did all these people wrong, but no one's mad. Althea didn't get into one prison fight. No one tried to stab her. No one stole her stuff. She's friends with everyone. Everyone smiles at each other. That was like so unrealistic to me. And I think that's why I was so like easy to speed read those chapters. Cause I was like, this is not jail. I spent a good amount of time thinking about what couldn't be contraband. Yeah, what was she going to make him, like a bookmark? That's so funny. Like even like the watch Orange is the New Black. Even their little fake Bible study, they were in there shanking people. Like that's just not how. And then the fact that it was the same with Proctor. Like the fact that he was able to like unpack his mental health and just be like every time he got a new bunkmate, he was like, yeah, got a new bunkie. The brother's cool. It's a cool brother, real cool brother. Everyone's just cool. Everyone are just these crazy murderers, criminals, like people who've done real crimes, but everyone's just cool. Yes, Girls Incarcerated on Netflix. She needs to check some source material. She didn't get enough inspo on the prison rep. The prison representation was off. The whole like the criminal justice system, like I also want to know how old was Kim to be like testifying. Prison sounded real peaceful. They were on vacation. It sounded like they were real poor and now they have a lot of perks and a support system, friends who you're letting squat. How did she allow Mercedes to squat in the house when she came out? Wasn't the house supposed to be a government lien? Isn't that the reason that they had to smuggle out all the stuff in the first place? But now you're sending ex-cons to just like bunk there, like slumber party, because that's your new BFF. You're taking better care of this murderer than you did your daughter. I'm gonna let some more prison thoughts come through before I move on to my next thing. I'm just laughing at prison sounded real peaceful. Too peaceful. Yeah, the title didn't connect all the way for me either. I definitely did see that the last section was called Care and Feeding, which I thought was awkward because that made me think it was going to be about how they all get nourished. And I guess, well, Baby V goes to like the group for her eating disorder. And I definitely did pick up on like hungry for love, but also just like hungry for affection and for peace and for forgiveness, for sisterhood, for family, for motherhood, for justice. For second chances. Like the hungriness, what people are hungry for definitely came through. But I don't know. I guess I see the title makes sense, but it could have she should have put river in the title, like the Karen River of girls who like rivers. You didn't like the title? Okay, so the title is the first thing that drew me to the book. But I'll also admit, so when I first saw the cover, like before the book even was released, when it first was announced, I saw the publisher like emailed me and I saw the cover and the title, and I thought this book was going to be about something completely different. So it's interesting that the people are kind of saying, you guys are kind of saying that the title didn't really connect. I thought it was creative, but I kind of like a long-winded title. I tend to like that. Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be different. And then I know when the first time I read the synopsis, that it was about like sisters, and one of them is in prison for a crime. I thought it was a crime that she like didn't commit, and because they didn't, I don't know why I thought that. But then I guess because set in America, black family, I assumed it was a crime they didn't commit, and they were being like mistreated or judged incorrectly. But then as I was reading it, because they weren't really giving us the full details of what the crimes were or their motive behind the crimes, I still at any point kept waiting for them to be like, we didn't actually do this. I kept waiting for it to be like, oh yeah, we weren't really criminals. I just keep thinking I spent a lot of time thinking about what could and couldn't be contraband. Kind of want to Google it. The last thing I have in my notes to talk about is the mental health representation, which was so sloppy. So I guess we'll start with Lillian, who definitely is suffering from some kind of like PTSD or OCD, but it's never called any of those things. So I don't want to misdiagnose her, but I thought that that was sloppy because like you're leaving traces of all of these symptoms, but you're not calling it anything and you're not letting them advocate for anything. Like exactly, there was no support of it. And then we have Viola, who in the way that they like reveal her eating disorder, I was just like, oh, this was I didn't like it. I like she just in a hotel room binging and then purging, and it was like, okay, that's the fast and the short of it. But the fact that she's also a therapist, but yet when she goes to see both of her sisters, she has such a hard time extending any empathy, not even from like a those are my sisters standpoint, but from a client patient standpoint. Like yes, you are in a place where you probably can't, she obviously needs therapy herself. Like, and she calls her therapist in the book, which was the only, like, one of two mental health advocacy moments in the book. But you have been trained to be a therapist. And when you go, like, even the first time she comes to Lillian's house and she's like engaging with the twins, it's like, okay, I get that, like, you're kind of a crappy aunt because you haven't really been present in their lives and you guys have like had all this weird discourse. I understand that completely, but then you come in with your second eyes, like as a therapist, how yeah. And I guess at least she was the one who picked up on the eating disorder, baby V's, which I also thought was just like again, messy, but yeah, I agree there was no motive to the crimes, like just to keep the restaurant. They didn't even seem that connected to it because it seemed like the restaurant was more of a medium to serve the community and not something that like fueled them, but that's that on that. Um, yeah, so Lily, Viola, Baby V, they all have like their things that are clearly cries for some kind of mental health attention. And then we have Joe, who is apparently this crazy abusive person who's just suddenly not abusive anymore. He didn't the military knocked it out of him. Whatever he did to Lillian, he's not that way. He has all these kids now, he has a wife now, he's a preacher. in a way, I felt like that was kind of pulling at some of his father's characteristics, the way he like fell into evangelizing, and he's this like this dad figure. I don't know. That was weird. And then there's the whole eating disorder thing that comes up, which I don't know enough about eating disorders to say how it should be classified, but from what I do know, I would think that that is something that you seek, like you can seek not only physical treatment for, but psychiatric, because that's dysmorphia is a psychological issue. It's not physical. Like, that's why it's dysmorphia. So I did like in the end that they had like Baby V going into a support group and how she's like, I told them that I strayed off my plan, but they encouraged me to get back on it. Like, I thought that was, I don't want to say it was good, but like it was nice that it was there. But there are just all these things that are laid. Like, everyone in here is suffering from severe trauma. Everyone seems to have some level of PTSD. Everyone seems to have this crazy amount of grief, and yet there's nothing. And then Proctor, who he like alludes to this Darth Vader syndrome in two of his letters, and then by the end he's on antidepressants, which was like, I thought sloppy, but at least it was there. Like, I guess it helps to normalize antidepressants. And the whole time that Althea is having these episodes, which are clearly like some kind of panic attack, I mean, with the way that prison is set up, I don't think that you go in and then you receive like top-notch mental health care. But there's no way you're having like panic attack after panic attack and no one is like, you have to get a psych evaluation or something. The way Viola pushes up bullying did not seem like, yeah, exactly. The way that she just keeps pestering them and like basically like egging them on. And like I said, she was coming at them like a bad aunt and not like a therapist. And you have therapy training. You went to school for this. This is your profession. And now it's your family. And I'm not asking you to treat them, but you need to at least see from that perspective. And I don't think she did, which made it unbelievable to me that she was a therapist. Like, I didn't believe that. And it wasn't clear to me, but it seems like Eva, her partner, was also a therapist. And it wasn't clear also if they both worked with eating disorder clients prior to realizing that Viola had an eating disorder. I know they were both professors, I think it said. She totally could have prevented the Kim situation. I don't get how she didn't see it coming. Like, I thought it was going to be worse. I thought that, like, I for sure knew that Kim was going to burn something down, either the restaurant or their house, which she did, which there were also never any consequences for. Like, the fact that that cop was like, we'll just let bygones be bygones. Like, no, there's arson. No one's going to take responsibility for arson. You guys are going to let arson be bygones? That seemed so far-fetched. Yeah. Viola as a therapist, not buying it. I wrote a note towards the end that said, yay to Baby V dropping the baby. That's pretty much, that was the last note. Anyone have any like final thoughts as we part ways with this book that we've all agreed was okay, but not great? I hope you all saw the email. I'm not announcing a book this month. I think everyone needs like a book vacation. Where are your drinks? Okay, so I have water, but I also have fries. But I didn't want to eat in your ear, so I'm waiting until after we're done. I only have water and coffee in my house right now, and if I drink any more coffee, I might actually die. So I need to drink all the water. But thank you for asking. I knew someone was going to bring up that I had like 6 drinks in the last one. That was also ridiculous that I had that many drinks. Like, never again. But I'm not announcing book 3 for July. I will announce it for August. Just because I think that everyone is like, doing the summer thing on vacations and stuff. I wanted to free up some space on your to read list to read other things. But I also promise the next book we read is going to be lighter because we've gone from like crazy mental health novel to tragic family grief drama. So I think it's time for something else. But I'm going to do, I have a few books I'm thinking of having us read. I want to read something that's a little bit more backlisted since the 2 books we've read have both been relatively new releases. So I'm thinking we could read something from a little bit farther back. I really want to read one of my favorite authors, but I'm going to pick, I think, 3 or 4 books and then email everyone a poll and see where people are falling because I want you guys to have some more input in what we're reading. Hope that sounds good. I've been doing this all day and it's actually annoying me. Whew. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this up? Thanks for coming to talk about the book with me and joining book club in general. You guys like have made my whole year reading these books and like taking notes in books and just knowing that I have like you guys to talk about them with has just been the best. I appreciate it more than you know. Next live show, I promise I will deliver on the beverages too. Hi, Kaylee. Kaylee, you always pop in either at the beginning to say hi or the very end as we're wrapping up. And I love how that's your brand. Yes, I feel like not enough people are using like the spoiler chats in the Facebook group. So I'm hoping that if we pick a book that's, I also think the first 2 books have kind of intimidated people. But I think if we have a lighter book, we'll get even more people talking and popping into live shows. So we're still in the early stages, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Watching you from my kitchen. Kaylee, you're adorable. Everyone, if you are looking for really great like lifestyle and business content videos, you should definitely check out Kaylee's channel. She's awesome. She and I have taken some great photos together, and we actually are going to do a video together. It only took us like years to be able to do that, but she's been in a few of my vlogs. So I'll give us credit for that. Also, Kaylee, when you say things like watching you from my kitchen, that sounds very creepy. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of your night. I will see you guys in the Facebook group and look out for an email towards the end of the month and I'll announce what our next, actually look out for an email sooner than that. I'm going to send a poll out and we can vote on what we think our next read should be. And I'm super excited to see what people pick. All right, have a great Monday and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.